Have you ever heard of a king who took the throne at just 11 years old? A boy who was thrust into a world of treacherous politics, family betrayal, and a mother who held all the real power? This isn't a fantasy novel. It's the real story of Myeongjong, the 13th king of Korea's Joseon Dynasty. His reign is one of the most dramatic and pivotal periods in Korean history, a roller coaster of power struggles, reforms, and tragedies. So grab your snacks, get comfortable, and let's dive into the turbulent life of the boy who became king. Before Myeongjong, there was his half-brother, Injong. Injong's reign was tragically short, lasting less than a year. His death is one of history's great mysteries. Many believe he was poisoned, and the prime suspect was none other than his own stepmother, the ambitious Queen Myeongjong. Why? Because with Injong gone, her own son, the young Myeongjong, would become king. This single event set the stage for a power struggle that would define an entire generation. At the tender age of 11, Myeongjong was placed on the throne, but he wasn't the one ruling. Behind the curtain, pulling all the strings, was Queen Myeongjong. For the first 8 years of Myeongjong's reign, his mother, Queen Myeongjong, ruled as regent. And let me tell you, she was a political force to be reckoned with. Her main goal? To consolidate power for her family, the Yun clan. She orchestrated a massive political purge, known as the Fourth Literati Purge of 1545. It was brutal. Her primary rival, Yun-im, and his followers were accused of treason and executed. This wasn't just a political reshuffle. It was a systematic elimination of anyone who opposed her and her brother, Yoon Won-hyung. The kingdom was plunged into a climate of fear, with Queen Myeongjong's faction firmly in control. So who was this powerful woman? Queen Myeongjong was more than just a power-hungry mother. She was a devout Buddhist at a time when Confucianism was the state ideology and Buddhism was heavily suppressed. During her regency, she made a move that shocked the Confucian establishment. She lifted the official ban on Buddhism. Monasteries that had been closed for centuries were reopened. She even appointed a monk named Bu as a high-ranking official, a move that was unthinkable to the Confucian scholars who dominated the court. This revival of Buddhism was one of the most significant and controversial aspects of her rule, leaving a lasting legacy on Korea's religious landscape. While the Queen Regent was busy with politics and religion, what was the boy king Myeongjong doing? For nearly a decade, he was a king in name only. He grew up in the palace, watching his mother and uncle run the country. Imagine being a teenager, supposedly the most powerful person in the land, yet having to defer to your mother on every single decision. He was learning, observing the cutthroat world of court politics from the inside. This period was crucial in shaping the man and the ruler he would later become. He saw firsthand the corruption and abuses of power that flourished under his family's control. When Myeongjong finally turned 20, he was legally an adult and ready to rule in his own right. Queen Myeongjong officially stepped down as regent, but did she really give up power? Not quite. Her influence and that of her brother, Yoon Won-hyung, were still enormous. The court was filled with their allies. For Myeongjong, this was the beginning of a long, quiet struggle. He couldn't just dismiss his mother and uncle. They were too powerful. He had to play a careful game, slowly and subtly asserting his own authority, waiting for the right moment to reclaim his throne in practice, not just in theory. Life under the rule of Queen Myeongjong and Yoon Won-hyung was tough for the common people. Corruption was rampant. The powerful Yun clan and their allies seized land and exploited the populace. The government was so focused on internal power struggles that it neglected its people. As a result, the nation's defenses weakened, making Joseon vulnerable to external threats. And those threats were coming. Along the coasts, Japanese pirates, known as Waigu, began to raid with increasing frequency and boldness, terrorizing coastal villages and disrupting trade. The kingdom was rotting from the inside and being attacked from the outside. One of the most dramatic events during this period was the Myeongjong in 1555. This wasn't just a small-scale pirate raid, it was a massive invasion by Japanese pirates in Jeolla province. The local defenses, weakened by years of neglect and corruption, completely crumbled. The pirates pillaged for over a month, causing immense suffering and highlighting the government's incompetence. This national embarrassment was a huge wake-up call. It exposed the deep-seated problems within Myeongjong's administration and put immense pressure on the king to finally take decisive action and clean up his own house. For years, Myeongjong had been patiently waiting. The Myeongjong disaster and the growing public anger against his uncle, Myeongjong, finally gave him the political capital he needed. Then, in 1565, the final piece fell into place. His mother, Queen Myeongjong, passed away. The shield that had protected Myeongjong for 2 decades was gone. Myeongjong seized the moment. He moved swiftly, stripping his uncle and his cronies of their titles and exiling them. The era of the Lesser Yun faction was finally over. After 20 long years, Myeongjong was, at last, the true and undisputed ruler of Joseon. With his hands finally on the levers of power, Myeongjong began a series of reforms. His top priority was to rebuild the government and restore public trust. He knew he couldn't do it alone, so he sought out and recruited talented, righteous scholars who had been pushed out of politics during his mother's regency. These were the Sarim, or the scholar gentry, known for their integrity and Confucian ideals. By bringing them back into the fold, Myeongjong signaled a clear break from the corrupt past and a commitment to just and effective governance. It was a new dawn for Joseon politics. Unfortunately, Myeongjong's time as a true king was cut short. Just 2 years after taking full control and beginning his ambitious reforms, he died suddenly at the age of 33 without an heir. It's a tragic end to a life defined by struggle. He spent 2 decades as a puppet, only to have a mere 2 years to enact his own vision for the kingdom. Because he had no son, the throne passed to his nephew, who would become King Seonjo. Myeongjong's death left his reforms unfinished and set the stage for a new wave of political factionalism that would plague Joseon for years to come. So, what is Myeongjong's legacy? It's complex. For much of his reign, he was overshadowed by his mother, and his era is often remembered for corruption and instability. But his story is also one of incredible patience and resilience. He endured 20 years as a figurehead, waiting for the right moment to claim his power and try to right the wrongs he had witnessed. His brief but determined effort to reform the government and empower righteous officials shows the kind of king he aspired to be. He was the boy who inherited a broken kingdom and, in the end, did his best to fix it. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the dramatic life of King Myeongjong. It's a powerful reminder that history is often shaped by complex family dynamics and personal struggles. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Korean history, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next video. What other historical figures would you like to learn about? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time.